everyone. This is Michelle Gramoglia, the President and CEO here at Woodland Pond, and this is my weekly address for a Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, August 26th, 2025. Shut my ringer off. I apologize for the delay. I'm a couple of minutes-ish late, but we had a fantastic call this morning that just wrapped up with our entire design and construction team. The guaranteed maximum price contract quote came in from the construction manager on all of the community building renovations, including the proposed new performing arts center, and the numbers are all favorable to the original draft of the numbers that we had seen and to budget. We're just attempting to quantify and fill in holes with any open areas, but it's really exciting. It's great news. And for those that are not familiar with this, a guaranteed maximum price contract basically puts the risk of bringing the numbers in on budget onto the construction manager. This is a really common practice used in large scale construction projects. And essentially it's based on the premise that the architects, the engineers, the interior design firm, they have spent at this point now about 18 months really developing and finalizing in great detail the construction documents, which is what the construction manager, which in our case is a firm called Wolfson, takes out to the market. And it's by what they call a division. So for example, one division would be electric, one would be plumbing, one would be heating, ventilation and cooling. They take each of those divisions out to the market and they attempt to get competitive bids. And they get competitive bids and then they bring them to us for approval. And basically what will happen, for example, is let's say they say we've gotten 3 competitive bids on the electric package and the best bid is, let's say, $2 million. So we're going to assign or award that part of the contract to this particular electrical contractor, assuming that the architect's designs and engineers' designs and everything are fully developed, which is what our team has approved and signed off on. If this electrical company says we can do it for $2 million, as long as we don't change the scope during field work, and as long as no material unanticipated field conditions are discovered, if for some reason that electrician all of a sudden has incurred $2.1 million in costs, that's on them. They take that risk. So this is a really exciting and firm way to do budgeting for construction projects. And to have the initial pass or sort of the second to final pass come in below budget. We're working again to quantify it. It's significant dollars, so we're really excited about that. And this actually may lend to some additional cash flow coming from the financing to be available to go towards the pot of money that we are hoping to achieve for the capital campaign. We got a few more forms in overnight. I know we're approaching the 31st. Everyone that we had not heard from yet, and that will include people that put in anonymous forms. We have no way of knowing that you did or didn't put it in if you don't have your name on it. Everyone will have gotten a frequently asked questions document yesterday with a blank commitment form. Again, we are asking for them for everyone, even if you are not planning on contributing. And if you could just put, anonymous, that's fine. It doesn't matter. It's just we're trying to track how many we've gotten back as we get closer to the 31st. But we're making progress and we appreciate everybody's feedback. And we especially appreciate the just extreme generosity that some have been able to put forth. Thank you notes will be forthcoming. Right now, we're just kind of focused on collecting those forms, but all good news on those fronts. We will go through just a couple of notable items here first. We had an issue arise over the weekend where a resident ended up going to the hospital. We actually have quite a few residents out at the hospital at the moment. It's rather unusual. It's a mix of folks that have had some issues with their organs, folks that have had some falls. But at any rate, a question arose from a resident, and rightfully so, of what Woodland Pond is and is not able to disclose to a neighbor, if all of a sudden someone sees that their neighbor's not here and they're worried that maybe they went to the hospital. Or oftentimes we see cases where a resident moves to a higher level of care. And we don't really have a great mechanism in place to publicly share that information. And the reason for that is because all of that kind of information, whether you've gone out to the hospital, whether you've had a change in your medical diagnosis or condition, whether you've moved to the health center, all of that is what's called protected health information. And as much as Woodland Pond knows that your questions are coming from a place of love and concern for your neighbor, we are legally bound to not be able to provide that information unless the resident has explicitly approved us to do so. We have had a series of sort of patchwork forms to collect that information and your authority in terms of who we can share information with. So in response to some confusion that arose this weekend and some frustration, you will find in your independent living mail cubbies today, and then these will be handed out to assisted living residents and those residents in skilled nursing that are not cognitively impaired, a blue form that's asking you to return these to concierge by the end of the day Friday. And you'll see that there's a section for you to indicate who your emergency contacts are with some of their information. And then a separate section that talks about people at Woodland Pond that you are authorizing us to speak to about these specific things. It's just one sheet, just a front, no back. It's very simple. This will allow us to have that information all in one place, and it will be your voice telling us what you're comfortable with us sharing. If you have any questions about this form, please do get them to Lindsay, our executive coordinator. The questions can come to me. Concierge is pretty well versed in how to answer these, but we wanted to do a blue form because it's distinct, it stands out. Then this way we'll know really very quickly visually who we've gotten them back from, who we haven't. If you are a couple, I'm thinking we probably only put one in your cubby. You probably need to get a second form from concierge. I apologize for that. We don't have an easy way with the cubbies just on the face of it to know who's two people and who's one. We should probably look into that for these types of circumstances. But in the meantime, you can pick up a second copy of the form at concierge. And then if you can bring those back to us by Friday, that will make all of this communication work just a little bit better. Terrell has asked me to once again remind everyone that Windows 10, which is the operating system that a lot of our computers are on, unless they are a MacBook. This does not affect Apple products. So it doesn't affect a MacBook, a Macintosh computer, your iPhones, but this is for all of the Microsoft-based operating systems, which would be, all computing devices that are not Apple products. The operating system, which is the brains of the computer, Windows 10 is what is currently running a lot of our computers. That is going to go end of life or stop being supported by Microsoft on October 14th of 2025. Terrell has talked about this quite a bit. You as a computer user, again, not an Apple product user, but if you're using a PC, you're going to want to know if you have Windows 10, and if you have an upgrade to Windows 11 available on your machine. And if not, we can assist you with determining how to get a replacement device. I would not sleep on this. I would not wait on this. This October 14th date is going to come quickly, and you want to make sure that you have your computing capability. If you are not sure or you need assistance, please just put in a work order for Terrell or Cameron, and they will help you to determine what you need to do with your computing device. Carrie has asked me to update everyone to let you know that tomorrow at 3 p.m. in the PAC, we will be having the quarterly resident association meeting, and all residents are encouraged to attend. In addition to the normal the normally planned agenda for tomorrow's resident association meeting. I have also been asked to attend to provide our first routine CCRC legislative update. And what we are going to do in speaking with the Residents Council is I will attend these meetings, or it might be in a management Q&A, but as often as needed to share all of the intelligence that I have, all the insight that I have on legislation that's pending that's directly related to CCRCs. There's always stuff brewing. It's something that we are actively looking at as an executive team all the time. Some are more important than others, but for those that I think will be of the most interest to residents, this is one way for you to get that information directly from us. Certainly the Political Affairs Committee is really invited and encouraged to, take the information or tidbits that you're finding on your own or through us or however you're getting that information to disseminate that, get that out for discussion among the residents. That's the right place for those discussions to be happening. But I have, immediate access to this information. I'm working with it with my colleagues across the state all the time. So I'm more than happy to share. So we will do a legislative update tomorrow. We're going to be calling it a CCRC legislative address, and that will be immediately piggybacking off of the Resident Association meeting. So please do join us or watch that live streamed if you're interested in that kind of thing. At 6 p.m. tomorrow in the courtyard, we will be trying to redo or reschedule the s'mores social that will be happening from 6 till 7:30 out there on the patio with our fire pit. So please do enjoy your neighbors, the last bit of summer, and a s'mores or two. And Thursday at 11 a.m., we are excited to welcome Judy Reichler in the PAC for part one of a two-part series on decluttering. So lots of you I know with changing of seasons like to look at, how can I clean up my space? How can I declutter? Judy is going to have some great tips and tricks for that. So hopefully you can attend that on Thursday at 11 a.m. in the PAC. And last but not least, we have two items from the rumor mill or suggestion box. The first is, we were wondering if all of the services mentioned by Annika Epley at the Q&A yesterday, so this was from last week, are free of charge to all Woodland Pond residents. This resident did include their name. Hopefully they're watching today, but I will be able to get back to you directly in case not. Yes, Annika's services are being paid for by Woodland Pond. So even if she needs to see you one-on-one for a few sessions or, maybe a little bit more extended, a few weeks, a month or two, to kind of help you with any issues that you're facing, Woodland Pond has made budget dollars available for this. And we don't often add new full-time equivalents, but in the last year or so, we have added some additional support services, particularly overnight environmental services and housekeeping staff, to make sure that the building is staying as clean and as bright as we need it to as we continue to age and haven't quite started construction yet. Annika, the addition of the right now part-time, but potentially eventually full-time licensed clinical social worker position for independent living. These are important ways that, even though this is more than what your contract with us has required for us to provide to you, to the extent that we can afford to do so, don't need to come back and add anything to your monthly service fees, can carve it out of somewhere else in our budget. This is the kind of thing that we want to make sure you're having access to. So we're happy to provide her services to you free of charge. There are two residents that Annika had in her private practice prior to coming to Woodland Pond, and I'm assuming that those services are being paid for through Medicare. Those will continue, but only those two residents, and everyone else, there would be no fee exchanged. The last is a suggestion from a resident, which has come up before, and I'll read it verbatim. I remember a previous suggestion to rotate the sign at our Woodland Pond entrance by 90 degrees for better visibility, but this was rejected due to excessive cost. Yes, we talked about this maybe last week or the week before. I suggest what might be a lower cost solution, which is to place a tastefully designed flag above the sign on a short flagpole in the top center of the sign. The sign itself would not need to be moved or altered in any way aside from affixing the flagpole. On the reverse side of this form is a photo of the sign with my crude artistry added to illustrate this. So I love this. It's a great and creative idea. And I actually really, I don't know if it's going to show up on the screen, but this person did provide actually a photograph edited with a flag. I'm sure I'm not doing a great job showing it on the screen, but you can see that they've indicated sort of the existing monument sign here, and then here, you know, a crudely drawn, but you can certainly get the idea, flag, which we could probably light there. So I love this. So I would suggest that anybody that does a rumor or suggestion bill, I think the bar has now been raised for you because your neighbor drew a diagram and you could do the same. That is all that I have for today. It is absolutely beautiful out. Great day to get outside. I hope you all do that. Go on the new trail system if you haven't yet. I've seen, again, so many birds and other wildlife every single time I take a walk there. Strongly encourage, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.